Hello, Wrestling Universe. This is Maven, former WWE superstar, Tough Enough One champion. And every Friday, wherever podcasts are located, go listen to We Like Wrestling. Hey, I start my weekend with it each and every week with these two knuckleheads right here.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the We Like Wrestling podcast. We have a very special guest today, Mr. Chris Van Vliet. It's weird. We're interviewing the interviewer.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not used to being on this side of things, but thank you guys so much for having me on. And just like you, I like wrestling, so this is perfect.
Awesome. And we noticed that you also do, UFC and stuff like that too. So is there any favorite in terms of what you watch more or what, stuff like that?
I mean, I'm watching kind of everything right now. And it's a cool time to be a wrestling fan as fans are starting to finally come back into the arenas. My goodness, that AEW show felt like there was 100,000 people there for Dynamite. And I can't wait to see what SummerSlam is going to look and, more importantly, sound like. And then on the UFC side of things, I've been a UFC fan. Geez, I hate to admit this, but I watched my UFC 2 was the first UFC that I watched.
Same.
And I rented the VHS from Blockbuster. So we're going way back. But yeah, it's super exciting time to be a UFC fan with everything that happened or didn't happen with Conor McGregor this past weekend.
Oh man. I said, should we talk about the Conor thing? I don't know. I used to be a big fan of his, but after this weekend, I don't know.
Maybe he's the ultimate heel. Maybe that's the point. I feel like he is too smart of a businessman for this to not have some sort of payoff in the end.
Yeah, I really hope his emotions just didn't get the best of him in that, and he just started, popping off the way he did. Hopefully, there's a payoff.
I don't know. I feel like if and when I should say they have that fourth match, which sounds like it's going to happen eventually. Everyone's going to absolutely hate Conor, which is going to make them want to tune in more to see what happens here, and then everybody makes more money. So that's what I'm thinking.
And then what's going to happen at the end of the fight? The big handshake, the hug, and they put it behind them, just like Tito and Shamrock did. Yep. I mean, that was a blood feud. They hated each other.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I watch a little bit of everything. Like everybody else, I've got the Hulu subscription and the Netflix subscription, Peacock, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, on and on and on. I actually don't have a cable subscription anymore. I have an antenna that sits there. So I watch a little bit of everything. And the cool thing about my podcast is I love talking to wrestlers. Obviously, I'm a massive wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling fan my entire life, but I can also talk to athletes and actors and comedians and other celebrities and people that inspire me. I want to have them on my show.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's very cool. Yeah.
So how did you get into this whole interviewing thing? Obviously, you have to have a love for, this kind of stuff, but how your very first interview and then how that branched off.
So I've been working in broadcasting since 2005. So my background is I've worked as a TV host and a radio host for my entire career. And I was always just super passionate about broadcasting. And, through a series of very fortunate events and me paying a lot of dues, I finally got on air on radio first and then TV. So the interviews I was doing at the start of my career, I was a news reporter. So the interviews I was doing at the start of my career were literally an interview with someone who a tree fell on their house or someone at the local track and field meet or something like that. So it was just kind of part of the job. And then I was at that job for about 1.5 years. And then my next job after that, I worked for MTV2 in Canada. And that was when I really started to interview a lot of celebrities, a lot of musicians there. That's where I did my first wrestling interview. And I just realized I've always been a really curious person by nature. I was always the kid asking why. And I'm sure my parents absolutely hated it because I was always like, well, why? They give an answer. I go, but why? So that was me as a kid, just always genuinely curious. And I realized that in broadcasting, in journalism, that goes a long way. Your curiosity like can go a real long way. So that's kind of where it started for me. My first wrestling interview was Bobby Lashley.
Oh,
and
cool. I was going to ask, what was your first one, if you remember?
Right, and then we're going way back. It was 2007. He was the ECW
yeah,
champion
that was
at the
ECW.
time.
Yeah,
Oh,
cool.
wow.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and I was really just using the access that I had through the jobs where, I was interviewing celebrities of all different kinds. And I kind of said to my boss, since we're interviewing all these other people, do you think we could interview a wrestler? And my boss at the time went, yeah, of course. I went, oh my God, I'm going to get paid to talk to wrestlers. This is great. And I kind of like carried that with me wherever I went with my different jobs. And I've worked in a lot of different cities, and I kind of became the guy that would do wrestling interviews whenever Raw, SmackDown, Ring of Honor, Impact, or whoever would come to town.
That's cool.
That's a dream.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's been fun.
Yeah. I'm sure it's fun, but it's also stressful at times. Obviously, bringing you in for Hamburg was stressful for us. This is the first time doing something. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see you guys in Hamburg. And I was saying this before we started recording, but it is so refreshing right now to be looking at 3 faces on the same screen at the same time. I mean, look, I know COVID's been a wild time for everybody all over the world, but if we had done this interview a year ago,
Yeah,
it would have been 4 little boxes on the screen,
Oh, yeah.
and all 4 of us would have been in our completely different locations.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
cool to be able to see you guys sitting, 6 inches apart, not 6 feet apart from each other.
Yeah.
yeah. So you're from Canada and now you're in California. Was that move due to your work, or was that just a personal preference?
I've been in the U.S. for a while now. So I moved to the U.S. in 2010, and for work. So it was Cleveland first. I spent 5 years in Cleveland. I was the entertainment reporter for the CBS affiliate there. Like my first week of work, they sent me to the Oscars. I was covering the Oscars red carpet like a week in. I also covered the Grammys 5 times when I was there. I won a handful of Emmys while I was in Cleveland, which I'm super grateful for. Then I was in Miami for 5 years. And I was working for the Fox station there as an entertainment reporter.
So you followed LeBron?
Yeah, it was the opposite, actually. It was the opposite. LeBron went to Miami, and I got to Cleveland, like our paths crossed for like a few months. Then I went to Miami. He went back to Cleveland. It's like we traded.
Yeah,
we
really.
traded. It was LeBron straight up for Chris Van Vliet. I don't know who got the better end of that deal. But the reality was, I obviously grew up in fairly cold weather. You guys are familiar with that, where you guys live.
Yeah.
And when I got the opportunity to go to Miami, I went. And by the way, I moved to Miami in December. I went, you know what? If I don't ever have to shovel snow ever again, I think I'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
So and then last summer I moved to Los Angeles because my main job is a TV host. I obviously do a lot of content creation with my podcast and my YouTube channel, but when you're a TV host, this is the place you got to live. So I've been here about a year now, and true to my word, I have not shoveled snow since moving here.
Oh,
Didn't LeBron move to LA last year too?
Oh my
Good
To play for the Lakers?
Good point.
Yes, I mean, I guess that now that I'm here, I guess that means he has to go.
Yeah, we'll take him.
Trade him to the Sixers. Yeah, we'll take him.
We'll take him.
Sure.
Do you personally prefer Canada or United States?
Oh, that's a terrible question.
I mean, but so obviously you live in the U.S., but in terms of things to do and the sports and everything,
Whoa, Canada has the best sports.
Canada has a lot of hockey.
Yeah.
I'm not a hockey guy, but
Yeah.
Justin is. So
Yeah.
Well, look, Canada's always going to be home. I haven't lived there since 2010, but Canada's always going to be home. That's where all my family and all my friends are, and I love it. But career-wise, there's way more opportunities for me in the U.S., and I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy to have been able to call several different states home as well, which has been great. So I don't know if one is better than the other, and if I did have to choose, obviously Canada is the better country. Like, I think we all know that. It's the greatest country on earth. But I'm happy to live here, and thank you guys for allowing me to be a guest in your fine country of America.
We're happy to have you.
Yeah, man.
So you're coming to Hamburg July 24th. Have you ever been on the East Coast for like conventions or, obviously you moved to Florida and Ohio, but have you?
And in Ohio.
Yeah. So have you ever done conventions on the East Coast?
I haven't done a ton of conventions, period. I mean, I think I did one or two in Florida, but no, this will be my first convention in PA. That's what we call it, right? We call it PA?
Yeah.
No, I lived in Cleveland and would go to Pennsylvania fairly regularly. I mean, it was not even a 2-hour drive to Pittsburgh. So I don't know if you guys claim Pittsburgh though. Do you claim Pittsburgh?
We're more Philly.
Okay.
I'm a Steelers fan. I claim Pittsburgh.
Well, then I don't want to talk to you anymore.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah, that's it. See you later. I was actually counting the other day. I've been to 37 states. Philadelphia has been a place I've been many times, but yeah, Pennsylvania I've been to lots of different times, but no, I've never been to a convention there. And with the amount of tweets that I've been getting over the last few weeks of people saying, man, I'm so excited that you're going to be there. I can't wait. This is going to be awesome to meet everyone like in person.
Yeah, it's still kind of surreal. I kept being that kind of pessimistic, like, okay, well, let's see how we are when we get closer, because I didn't think this was actually going to happen. And now with COVID being so much better than it was, even when it was announced, I'm starting to get on board this late into the game when we're only like 2 weeks, a week away. What are we now?
Yeah, like a week and a half away, right?
A week from Saturday.
Yeah. I'm still not sure that it's even happening.
There's
a hell of a lineup too. Like,
Oh my gosh!
I can't believe the amount of talent.
One of my childhood favorites, Marty Jannetty's going to be there.
I mean, from the legends to even some of the current stars, this is a stacked lineup. I don't know how I am a part of this, but I'm grateful to be there.
So Philly fans especially are a rowdy bunch.
With all sports. We do a little hard.
I mean, the Eagles fans set fire to Philly when they won the Super Bowl. So
I never understand that.
Yeah, but even when
Toronto didn't do much better. Was it Toronto or was it Vancouver? No, it was Toronto.
I thought it was also Vancouver. I think when Vancouver lost.
Oh, when Vancouver lost, that's what it was. Yeah.
I can understand the anger, and rioting when you lose, but when you win,
it's dumb. But I mean, even during ECW times, I mean, you could tell they are. I compare them to Cleveland Brown fans because no matter the Browns lost and lost and lost, and then they always had loyal fans. And Philly
sounds like a dig. I don't see how this is.
Eagles fans are kind of like
all the time.
But when ECW was around and they would run bingo halls and stuff like that, they were just so into it. They were, they lived ECW. I don't want you to feel scared coming here, but that just shows like
if PA that's your sales pitch.
PA wrestling fans are just amazing. They'll let you know how they feel, whether it's good or bad, and they'll get behind you. But honestly, it's great being a wrestling fan, especially in current times. I don't know what it's like in California, but PA.
He's got PWG over there. They still running shows?
Yes, but they haven't started back up.
Over here, COVID is.
I don't know if there's been any indie shows in California. Like California just opened up 1 month ago on June 15th.
Ours was around there, and man, they started running shows right away.
Here's the thing. This is really interesting because obviously I grew up in Canada, very cold, and then I spent a bunch of years in Cleveland, also very cold.
Yeah.
I learned that there's a direct correlation between how cold it is and how much you love your sports. The greatest sports cities are Philly and Detroit and Toronto and Chicago and Boston and Green Bay, Cleveland. And when you think of sports, you don't think of Phoenix or Los Angeles or Anaheim or
Vegas, because I'm a Raiders fan. I still don't understand why we're in Vegas. So
that stadium's beautiful.
I want to see it.
So, and I think that the same correlates to wrestling as well. And I think the most hardcore fans are the Philly fans and the New York fans and the Jersey fans. I just feel like there's something there.
Yeah, it fuels us and keeps us going during the winter. Hating other teams helps us get through the winter.
Is this whiskey that we're drinking here?
Me, yes, yeah. local distillery too.
Oh, very nice. I was just on Aiden English's podcast.
I listened to the Tommy Yen one, and it was funny because that was the first one I listened to, and I guess the whole point is that you drink whiskey with him, and Tommy Yen doesn't drink. So, yeah. So
Matt sent me 3 whiskeys, like labeled them A, B, and C, like a total blind tasting. And we drank them together. Yeah. And he's like, all right, well, what notes are you tasting? How does it feel? And like, he gave me like an education in whiskey while we did a podcast. And I will say that by the end of that podcast, after drinking 3 things of whiskey, I was feeling pretty nice.
Yeah. I just discovered that podcast like last week. Yeah.
I mean, it's fairly new. So yeah.
I saw there's only a few episodes. Yeah.
So you're right.
I definitely want to check out some more of them. Yeah.
And I mean, Aiden's going to be at Hamburg, so
we'll be at Hamburg.
Anybody has any questions about whiskey?
So maybe I'll have to hit him up, and we'll.
You should let him know
with this noble bourbon.
Oh, he'd be so excited if you brought him whiskey.
I might have to.
I listened to the Buddy Murphy interview that you did with him.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, it's very good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
And today, the big Instagram post Buddy Murphy put out.
Oh, with a date.
Yeah.
So it's going to be exciting. I think that guy has so much untapped potential.
Yes.
So much talent that wherever he ends up going, it's going to be big.
And we were just talking. Justin said he would absolutely love. Obviously, Alistair or Tommy Yen is in AEW
or
now.
Malachi now.
Yeah. Which we're not a fan of Malachi.
Andrade is there. And so if Buddy Murphy were to come in and they had a group, I'd actually really dig that group.
I think I think that it's very cliche to think that any released wrestler from WWE is immediately going to go to AEW. Like, there's a lot of options right now. It's the best time to be a wrestling fan, and subsequently the best time to be a wrestler as well, because he could fit very well into any storyline in Impact. His style would be incredible in New Japan.
That's where I would like to see him go. Yes.
Then I think you put him in Ring of Honor and he's right there near the top in a second. So I don't think I'd be surprised if I saw him maybe dip his toe in all of these places or a few of these places. But, obviously AEW would be a great fit as well with, a lot of his friends that are already there.
Yeah.
Well, you can do AEW and Impact at the same time now with them.
Yeah.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Honestly, where I think he would be the guy that's almost going to be like a Christian from 2010 or whatever Christian went to TNA, 2007 maybe
6, 7. Yeah.
Buddy Murphy has the potential to be that guy that goes somewhere, becomes their top dog, and then probably comes back and is now elevated in WWE because of it.
Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre did the same thing.
A lot of untapped potential.
Bobby Lashley, even though he was kind of on top.
Yeah.
In WWE. ECW.
Out of all the legends that are going to be in Hammer, is any other that you're looking forward to meeting or seeing as a fan?
Gosh, it's tough because that list is so stacked, right? Like,
it really is.
I was selfishly looking at the list going, who could I have on my show?
Network.
I have so many questions for The Godfather. So I think that's one that immediately pops into my mind.
We met him before. He's really nice.
He was one of the nicest people.
Yeah, very down to earth, super
we've ever
cool,
gone to meet.
Great. Cowboy Bob Orton is a legend. I would just like to shake his hand and just be like, you sir are a legend.
Yeah.
I want to have Gene Snitsky on the show. I think that we really haven't heard a lot from him either.
No, yeah, you're right.
So, and he's in our area, not Reading, but he's
in Pennsylvania.
Nescahoning, so
but he's kept a low profile. He really has.
It's a long list, and this is the most stacked convention I've seen since I don't know, WrestleCon.
Yeah, and we've mentioned that too. We said, most times when you look at conventions and the people listed, it's like, okay, I'd like to meet a few of the guys. Yeah. But this is like insane. The amount of people that are just
trying to budget my money.
It's like every morning we wake up to texts.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, this person's added now, and this person's going to be here.
Yeah,
it's a surprise every morning.
I mean, the reason WrestleCon is so stacked is because it's WrestleMania weekend. Everybody's in town. Yeah. Here, the fact that all of these different people are coming from all over the place to be in Hamburg for that one fan fest. Man, this is going to be good. So I hope.
I don't think Hamburg itself is ready for this convention.
Yeah.
I don't think the town of Hamburg is going to know how to handle
I think this convention is going to double the population.
Yeah, really.
It's a
It
small
sounds like a
town.
wrestling promo here. I don't know if the city of Hamburg is ready for this.
Yeah,
Well, he does wrestle, so
I have.
he's a wrestler. So
And then it all makes sense here. It's coming naturally for you.
Yeah,
Everything's a promo.
yeah.
And it's such perfect timing too, you know, with COVID ending and everything. Like
Well,
it's
it's not
just
ending,
but
but we're getting
slowing down.
PA is
Taking
opened up.
steps.
So it's perfect timing. You know, a lot of wrestling fans have been wanting to go to events and all these types of things, and to open up with a big thing like this, that's just, it's crazy. Like every week when we do the podcast, we're like, I can't believe it's almost here. I can't
You know, it
believe it's almost
started with
here.
almost no thought of this is how big it's going to be.
Yeah,
It started with like, hey, let's have a little meet and greet with some guys and have some food and some vendors and stuff. And it's turned into this huge convention.
yeah.
This is going to be one of those things where you're looking around, you're going to be like, oh my God, that's
I'm telling
Godfather right there.
Yep, I'm telling you, till the day of it, it's not going to hit me how big this
I'm
is.
picturing like
So I'm in
you know,
there.
you're gonna like go to the bathroom and like there'll be a wrestler in there, like peeing next to you, or you pass him in the way. It's like
Just keep your eyes ahead, though.
eyes on your own
Yeah.
paper. I know, but
Yeah,
I mean, like that. There's gonna be so many walking around. Like you're just gonna be.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of just normal people.
I know they're regular people. I know. I'm just saying.
And they'll stop for gas at Wawa and stuff like that. You know,
It'll just be hard to like, we'd like to soak it all in. Like, wow.
yeah.
And it's also nice too, because now they're starting to bring more current guys for the kids and, you know, stuff like that. So
Yeah, we've
They're-
got a little diverse.
yeah, so that'll definitely help too.
Yeah. Like my son is 10 and he could care less about Cowboy Bob Orton. He doesn't even know
Yeah, we just
who
have
he
to
is,
explain
other
to
than
him
it's
who
Randy's
people
dad.
are.
Yeah, that's probably
But,
who he is to him.
Aiden
Yeah.
English, he knows. Heath Slater, he knows. Like those are big
Sure.
names to him. Yeah.
So, what is one of your favorite? I know that's tough to pick, but what's one of your favorite interviews that you've done?
I mean, it's kind of like choosing your favorite child.
Yeah.
right? But if I had to choose one, it's probably The Rock. Like
Oh,
The
yeah.
Rock meant so much to me growing up, and you know, I've been fortunate to interview him a handful of times, which man, so thankful for those opportunities. And he's everything you want him to be. That's the best part about it. Like The Rock's one of the big reasons that I really got into wrestling in the Attitude Era. And he's just so charismatic, both in the ring and outside of the ring. And I remember, like, I dressed up as The Rock for Halloween one year. Like, I was giving people the rock bottom on trampolines. So The Rock's everything you want him to be when you meet him. He's funny, he's charismatic, he's energetic. He does this thing where he turns the situation around and makes you feel really important. Like, he's self-aware enough to know that he's one of the biggest stars in the world and that this moment means a lot to you. So he makes the moment special. So yeah, I'd say The Rock is definitely up there. So much so that, yeah, I have a picture. Well, there's obviously my favorite match. Favorite match of all time, Rock Hogan. I was there, WrestleMania 18. That's my
Nice.
ticket in the bottom there.
Oh, that's
very
very
cool.
cool.
And then this, you can't really see it. And if I wasn't like all wired in here, I'd show you, but there it is. That's a picture of me and The Rock. And then he autographed that magazine cover there.
Very
So,
cool.
That was
Oh,
awesome.
very cool.
and he said on it that he had fun during the interview. And I'm like, well, you didn't have to lie, but thank you.
He
Well,
seems
he
like a
wrote
genuinely.
it. It's etched in stone. It's done. It's written. He now
Could have been like,
officially
to
had fun.
Chris, worst interview ever. Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Actually, that would have been fun.
Lose
I
my
would-
number.
I would-
Don't call me
yeah.
again. Yeah. He seems like a genuine good guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
He seems, yeah.
I think what you like, and I don't know him that well. You know, I've had the opportunity to share a few exchanges with him, but I think what you see is what you get with him. I think that he has a giant heart and he's just a good dude. So if you guys ever have the chance, if you
Oh,
ever
yeah.
have the chance to turn down to talk to Dwayne Johnson, don't turn it down. All right.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, he doesn't forget where he came from. Like if it weren't for us, he wouldn't be who he is.
Yeah.
Like he understands that, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know. Did you interview Rock the wrestler or Rock the actor or a little bit of both? Or-
Great question. A little bit of both, actually. So
okay.
the first interview I did with him was The Rock. It was a wrestler. I got him backstage at Raw as he was preparing for his WrestleMania 28 match with John Cena.
Okay.
And if you think about that, think about the timeline on that. That was 2012. I interviewed him in, I think, January or February of that year.
That's the first one. That's the once in a lifetime or the rematch.
That was the actual first once in a
The
lifetime.
first one, okay.
Not the twice in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And this was kind of on the cusp of The Rock becoming The Rock that we now know and love 9 years later, because I think Fast and Furious 5 had just come out. G.I. Joe 2 was about to come out.
Wow,
And The Rock had just done that transition from the Race to Witch Mountain, Game Plan, Tooth Fairy types of movies.
The Hogan types of movies.
Right, to that shift of being like the modern day Arnold, where he's doing like these badass action star roles. So I got him right on the cusp of that as he was starting to take on those roles, and as he was kind of came back to wrestling, obviously for that match, but as he was kind of transitioning out of wrestling. And then the other interviews I did with him were for Hercules, Baywatch, Rampage, Central Intelligence.
What was Rampage?
Jumanji.
Based on a video game. Giant
gorilla that's destroying the city.
Giant alligator, whatever.
I don't think I remember that at all.
Oh, that's a good movie.
It's okay. It's okay.
No, I don't watch movies.
The Rock probably prefers that you don't remember that movie.
I have a very short.
And he's got like 5 a year. He puts out so many. Yeah.
Seriously. Well, he has one coming out in a few weeks here, I think.
Yeah, Jungle Cruise. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say Fast and Furious, but
he's not in a new one now.
And then he's also working on Black Adam, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. I do see him. He keeps tweeting about that. Or
the point you bring up, Chris, is I'm also a huge movie fan. So he at that point transitioned from the wrestler who acts to an actor who sometimes wrestles.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And my friend, actually, who's also an interviewer, he asked him a really interesting question. He said, like, what was the transition for you to go from The Rock to then he was credited in a ton of movies as Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Yeah. And now he's being credited as just Dwayne Johnson. And if you think about it, it's actually 3 very distinct chapters of his life and of his career.
Yeah.
You're a movie guy and a music guy. Are you a big movie guy?
Yeah, big time. I've been reviewing movies as part of my job for most of my career. So yes, big movie guy. Greatest movie of all time, by the way, is Back to the Future. Just needed to put that out there.
That's funny. That's my best friend's favorite movie.
The first
mine's Empire Records, which is really weird.
All choice.
I can watch that all the time.
Mine is Pulp Fiction.
I was just at an event with Tarantino last week.
Oh, really? I love Tarantino. Cool.
I've got a funny story. Give me 1 sec, so I can tell this story.
Yeah,
1 second.
Of course.
I need a prop, right?
It was 4 Emmys.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So my friends Kevin, Jake, and Sean host a podcast called the Real Blend Podcast, Cinema Blend. A Real Blend podcast is from cinemablend.com. And they were doing the book launch podcast with Quentin Tarantino for his new book, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So it's basically like a novel based on the film. And then after the live podcast, Tarantino stuck around and he signed for everybody in the audience. He signed the book for them. So we're in this big line about to get Quentin Tarantino's autograph. And he's like signing it. He's making a little bit of small talk. It's great. It's amazing. You've got a chance to interact with one of the greatest directors of all time.
Yes.
So he goes, oh, who should I make this out to? It's Quentin Tarantino. I said, oh, it's Chris with a C. And he just starts writing, and he writes Chris with a K. K-R-I-S. And I'm like, no, what are you doing? I just scribble it out. And then he wrote my actual name there.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I got Tarantino's autograph and then, a misspelling of my name. So
that makes it so much more special.
Yeah, no one else has that. So.
Does it make it worse or better? I don't know.
better. Way better. Because you have a story with it.
Yeah.
So it was Tarantino. A really cool night to watch my friends do a 2-hour interview with Tarantino. So you can go check that out on the Real Blend podcast. And then we'll interact with Tarantino.
Well, he can talk. He's a very,
Oh, yeah.
Tarantino can talk.
Yeah, I've seen a few of his interviews.
Yeah, he's very intelligent, man.
He just tells great stories.
Yeah, he really draws you in.
I guess I made the mistake of going, it's Chris with a C. Like, would that be like saying it's Brian with a B? Like,
I don't know. I wouldn't think. I thought when you said that, I was like, how else do you spell Chris?
They do it with K sometimes. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure, but it'd be like saying, oh, it's Jamie with a J. Like, of course it is.
You never know how people spell.
I have to say John with an H.
Oh, yeah, because
they speak J-O-N sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you watch any WWE films or any movies whatsoever with any wrestlers in them?
Yeah, sure.
What's
Yeah.
your favorite wrestling movie? Not wrestling movie with a wrestler in it.
Ooh, favorite movie with a wrestler. Should I just pick my favorite Dwayne Johnson movie?
I mean, you might as well. It probably is the best.
He's probably everyone's pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I will say this, and it might be a little bit controversial, but I actually think that Dave Bautista is the better actor. Like I
Really?
think I think
I
that
never
Batista,
saw one
like
of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So
Batista's acting chops, like Stuber was an okay film, but he has these scenes in it where he's incredibly funny, and then the next scene he's like legitimately crying. Like it's really, really good. And I don't know if we've seen that range out of either Cena or out of Rock or Hogan or Roddy Piper or anybody else. You know, if we go down the list of
what's that Punk movie that I just watched? What was that
Uh,
called? Third Floor.
Girl on the Third Floor.
Yeah, that was
that's a
pretty good.
Netflix
Did you
one.
see that?
no, should I
I was-
see it?
I mean, I liked it.
For Punk's first movie,
I
it was
really
pretty
thought
good.
It was good.
Yeah.
I was very surprised.
Okay.
You should see it
I
just
like
because
that. I like that suspense horror.
the first 5 minutes into it is CM Punk standing there drinking a beer.
Yeah,
So just for that.
That's weird.
I wonder what they gave him for that.
Uh,
What did he actually drink?
Yeah.
It's under his real name. It just say Phil Brooks. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah. Phil
That's-
CM
I mean,
Punk Brooks. Yeah.
That's interesting because didn't he fight in UFC as CM Punk?
He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which and the big I don't know if you guys heard about it, but technically he is not 0-2 anymore.
Yeah, they,
Oh, 1-1.
Yeah.
Oh.
The guy didn't pass the drug test, so they took the win back from him.
Wow.
How can
Yeah.
How did he fail a drug test 3 years later?
Yeah, it's a long time. I
I don't know. Ask Lance Armstrong.
when I heard it did okay. Well,
Sorry. That was,
but
that was a cheap shot, I guess.
when I heard about it, I was like, "Oh, did I miss like a CM Punk fight?" And it's like, no, it was from way back. I was, okay, whatever. How?
He'll take it, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on the current rumors? So AEW announced that they have a big surprise coming up, and they said it's bigger than Andrade, bigger than Aleister Black.
What does that mean, though?
I-
I hate
so-
that bigger.
Yeah.
Daniel
What does
Bryan.
that mean?
Yeah, so Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson is, I guess, a free agent. WWE took him off of any mention of the video games and whatever.
He's in the
so-
alumni section, I think.
I didn't know that.
I think they moved to the alumni section.
Yeah. So, I mean, how would you feel about Bryan Danielson going to AEW?
Look, I think that if they're talking about a bigger thing, my mind immediately goes to physical stature, and I immediately think of Braun Strowman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Big, right? Although
Yeah.
he did say, went on the record and said that WWE's his home. He never wants to wrestle anywhere
he
else.
stayed
but
with it. Yeah, he
lots of people
technically-
say stuff like that, right?
Yeah, until you get a number in front of you across from a table, and they go, "Oh, that number's really
How
hard
many
to
of them-
pass up."
How many of them leave WWE? I'm like, I'm never going back there. And then they show
Yeah.
up 3 years later. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
And
think
so-
that AEW has proven, though, that if you want to go somewhere and wrestle, like actually get in the ring and have those matches, they have been a very welcome home for that. And that's what Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him, has wanted to do his entire career.
yeah.
So I think that it'd be a very good home for him, if not now, maybe in a year or 2 or 5 as he's rounding out his career. But like, how exciting is this? If we like went in a time machine from a few years ago, fast forwarded to now and said, yeah, Daniel Bryan, geez, we're getting all the
Yeah, we do it all the time.
Daniel Bryan is wrestling. You'd be like, hold on, what do you mean? He's retired. He can't
Yeah.
wrestle. The whole neck thing. The fact that we're even talking about him being able to wrestle again is
Or
so
Edge.
damn exciting.
Yeah. Same thing with Edge.
Yeah,
too,
or
yeah.
Edge. I mean, we never would have thought that was happening again.
But I mean, think of the matches. I mean, Daniel Bryan and Kenny Omega were
We saw
Yeah.
it. It's,
Yeah,
it's
it's-
happening
yeah,
already.
ROH,
a long
but
time ago.
that-
Long
that
time
was
ago.
kind of as Kenny was getting his.
Yeah,
you know,
Kenny was a kid then.
So, but it's just amazing to think of all these matches that we could have. And I mean, Andrade looks better. Alistair looks better. So it's,
sometimes just being happy
yeah.
makes you better. You know?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and I
we're
think
on-
just having the freedom, like that travel schedule with AEW, even though they're now back on the road, is basically
Still, yeah.
you're away 2 nights a week max. You know, you fly in on a Tuesday and you fly out Thursday, And like, how could you argue with that? How could you not be happy when, most of the rest of the world is working 5 days a week and they're off for 2? They're the flip. They're working 2 days a week and off for 5. How could you not be happy?
And in WWE, they work every night. And they work 300 nights a year. They're going to start doing it again.
And
like
again,
a lot of, you talk to a lot of WWE superstars or former WWE superstars, and as excited as they are about those European tours, it's like 20 straight days away from home or something like that. And it's just like buses and airports for the entire time. Buses, airports, and then the show. And then that's it.
Yeah, it seems like you're going to get to, I'm going to get paid to travel the country. But really, you're getting paid to travel from airport to airport, terminal to terminal.
Yeah, so they don't have time to like sightsee and stuff like we would.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically fly in. Then you have to wait in that rental car line. And then you get to your hotel, which, by the way, WWE doesn't pay for.
And as you're waiting on, in all of those lines, there are countless people running up to you with things. I will always go on. If I want to meet somebody, I will go to a convention, signing something. I will never hassle somebody. They could be next to me pumping gas. I will not hassle someone because that's your life. This is not your time to be on stage in front of me signing or whatever I want from you. I'll save that for when you're on stage.
Yeah. I just think it's exciting now that there's options, the fact that we're even able to talk about someone, whoever this mystery person is, going to AEW. It's exciting, and that's not a knock on Ring of Honor or Impact or New Japan, who have been, very successful over the last decade or two. But the fact that there is another program on cable television, and we know Wednesday night, 8:00, we can tune in and see Dynamite. It's just exciting.
And there's wrestling literally like every day now.
Yeah, it's me as a kid, as a 7-year-old, would have been dying for this. I used to just have Raw, and not even the good Raw. I'm talking about the squash match Raw,
Manhattan Center.
Yeah, Manhattan Center Raw. So for this to be now, I couldn't imagine being a kid now. Loving wrestling.
I'm older than you guys, so for me, I had Saturday morning wrestling challenge, wrestling superstars was all I had. Because there was no Raw. Pay-per-views, there was 4 a year.
Yeah.
And
wrestling was hard to come by back then.
NWA back then wasn't on TV, at least where I lived.
You went to your one-room schoolhouse every day.
Yes. Yeah. Walked uphill both ways in the snow. Yeah. We didn't have backpacks back then. Yeah.
Did you ride a dinosaur to school as well?
I did. Yes. Yeah. We wrote in hieroglyphics, stuff like that.
So you said that you were super honored to interview Rock multiple times. Who's that guy? Who's that one? You're to use the Gone in 60 Seconds term, Eleanor, right? Who's that one that you really want that you haven't gotten to interview yet?
That actually might be tougher to narrow down just to one. And again, I don't just interview wrestlers, so it's pretty broad as to all the people that I want to interview. But I think if we were to talk in wrestling terms, it's Vince McMahon.
That is the end.
That's everybody's pick, I think.
Yeah.
I want to talk to him as the man, though. I don't want to be what happened with Katie Vick? What a weird storyline.
You're right.
Tell us about the Montreal screw job.
I would want everyone about all his life. I mean,
I want to know what makes him tick, because he's not just a brilliant businessman. He's just a brilliant man. The reason we're talking right now is because Vince McMahon created this incredible world that we all love and sometimes hate.
Yeah.
So I want to figure out what's Vince McMahon's workout routine look like? What does Vince McMahon eat for breakfast? Does Vince McMahon eat pizza? I want to learn about things like this. What business deals could he have signed on that he regrets not being a part of?
It's so really weird to think, does Vince McMahon get Domino's delivered? That's weird to
think.
Yeah. What does he do when he's not wrestling? Does he watch movies like we just said? Does he play with his grandkids? Or is he just wrestling 24/7? Or he just
And Vince McMahon is this anomaly. He's this enigma. We don't know much about him outside of wrestling. So that's one that I would love to do. I'm also, a big sports fan, and I'm love him or hate him. I think it's hard to disagree that Tom Brady is one of the greatest, if not.
Just brought this up 2 weeks ago.
I'm done.
We had a huge argument about this.
No matter.
I'm a Michigan fan, so he went to
Sure.
Michigan, even though when he was in Michigan, he didn't really produce the way he wasn't nearly going to be the Tom Brady that he is now.
Yeah.
But I still say he is the greatest.
He would tell you he wasn't a great draft prospect.
Mhm.
But there's this like hidden gem on Facebook Watch, which is like Facebook's version of YouTube. And it's called Tom versus Time. And it was like 3 years ago. And it followed Tom Brady in like this documentary style, like behind the scenes, spending time with his family, spending time with his trainer, Alex Guerrero. And like you got a deep dive into Tom Brady's life. And I went, man, this is fascinating. Whether you like him or not, whether you're a Patriots fan or a Bucks fan or not, it's hard not to respect what he's done in the sports. So Tom Brady would be a fascinating conversation. And then I'll round it out with one more. I've talked to her very briefly, but if you're in broadcasting or interviewing, how can you not love Oprah for everything?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So,
Yeah.
I've spoken to Oprah very briefly years ago for that movie Precious, but I would love to sit down with Oprah for like, I don't know, if she has 4 hours to spare, I'll spend
just talk. Yeah.
Or just listen. Really. I'll just
you talk.
Go.
I'll
just sit here.
Yeah. It would be.
So we're flying you in. When you're in PA, is there anything that you want to visit? I know you've said you've been to Philly.
Yeah, Hamburg Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hamburg is definitely different than Philly, though. I'll tell you that.
Very much.
Um,
We'll take you to Cabela's. You ever been to Cabela's?
Of course I've been to Cabela's. Yeah. I own a fishing company.
That's like, but Cabela's is like the highlight of Hamburg.
That's literally all there is. I know they put a Walmart in.
Are you cigar?
I
guy?
would love to go to Cabela's though.
We go to Cigar International.
yeah, that's true. Do you like
Is there
cigars?
somewhere I can get a Philly cheesesteak?
In Philly, if you want a real one, yeah.
Del Sandro's.
You can get someone who can make one, but it won't be authentic.
I've been to
make
Philly
Philly's
many
cheesesteak.
times, and every single time, doesn't matter where I'm staying, doesn't matter what I'm doing, I have to go run the Rocky Steps.
I've never been there. It's weird when you live places that you never
Yeah.
do the things that people that don't live here want to do. I've
I
never.
think it's important though to become a tourist in your own town, even if it's
Yeah.
just for a weekend, a summer, whatever it is. I think it's important to, like, I'm from Toronto. I hadn't been up the CN Tower till I was like a very grown adult. Like, it's the most famous thing in Toronto.
Yeah.
One of the most famous buildings in Canada. And then I finally went up and I went, oh,
Yeah,
fine. Okay. Did it.
we live in Reading and we have the pagoda, which is a very small tourist attraction. But I was there like once in my entire life.
I think it's one of those where you're like, I can go see it anytime I want. So then
I
you don't
can-
go.
I literally, when I drive up the street,
And
I
then-
can see it. So why do I really care about going to it?
Yeah.
It's weird.
But
I
since
also,
you're from-
I've lived in so many different cities that I've definitely been a tourist from when I
Yeah.
get there. And then you live there for a year or 2 or 5. And then when your friends come into town, you're like, I got you. We got to go to this, and this, and like you're just checking off the tourist things.
Yeah. That's why I never tell anybody like Pat and Gino's in Philly is the main, but I'll never take anybody there. Jimmy's on South Street and Del Sandro's. Those are the best. Those are and Phillips. Phillips is pretty good too.
Since you're from Canada, this is probably a cliche question, but have you met the Hart family? Have you been to the dungeon? Have you?
No, I
Yeah.
haven't. I mean, I don't know if the dungeon's just a place you can just like go to.
I think you just go
Well, no,
to
I
the
know, but I
house.
mean-
It's someone's house.
but-
Well, I mean, somebody went to Arn Anderson's house, so
That's true. Somebody walked
I mean,
up to his door and
Chris
asked
isn't
him to sign it.
Just
back.
anybody. I mean, he's a celebrity, so I mean, he probably has more.
You still have to like ask permission to.
I know.
Go
Let's
up
say you
to
break into someone's house.
I'll
and be
ask,
like,
I'll ask Natalia. I'll just
There you go.
hey.
Can I
I
stop
bet
by?
because you know who he is, they might let him in.
It's like a farm,
Someone
right?
like us.
It's like a ranch, I believe. Or
Yeah, I
something
mean,
like
they
that.
live on a. I mean, from what I know, they live on a bunch of property. But my sister actually lives in Calgary. My sister moved to Calgary like 12 years ago. So I'm gonna be in Calgary next month.
Well, you have to go now.
Family.
Now you have to go.
Now I've got a mission. Yeah.
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 Why, do they still
Just
own it?
tell them we like wrestling podcast sent you. That's why.
Mention our name at the door.
No.
Yeah.
Well, they both passed away. I don't know if they still own
I'm
it.
sure
Someone in
that-
the family
I'm
still
sure
owns it.
someone
I
in the
wasn't
family
sure.
owns
Probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
and the Samoans have their school in Allentown here in PA, so that's. I
There's
mean,
gonna be a lot of Samoans.
Yeah.
A lot of that family.
A lot of the
lineage
Rock's
is gonna be
cousins. Yeah, there's
at
a lot of them.
At the
Everybody's the
convention.
Rock's cousin.
Yeah,
That's true.
I'm a
man.
little dark. Maybe I'm the Rock's cousin.
Could be.
Probably. Yeah.
That family tree has a lot of branches.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went to a little convention in Allentown beginning of the month, I think, and it just felt, that was my first convention. It was just so great to be
Your
able
first
to,
ever?
yeah,
Oh,
just felt great to be able to do that kind of thing
Met
again.
Maven and Carlito. They're very cool.
Yeah, Carlito. Yeah, no pun intended. Carlito was really cool.
Maven does conventions.
Maven will be, he's
going to be at Hamburg.
He got signed on to Hamburg at that convention.
Oh, he's going to be at Hamburg?
He wasn't originally at the Allentown convention. He signed on to come to Hamburg.
Oh,
I guess they had such a,
I got to get him on my show.
Great turnout. Yeah.
I had no idea.
He looks great too, man.
He
for
does.
Not being, active wrestling. He's in
pretty good
shape.
shape. He looks like a generic Rock. He looks like him. He sounds like him. He kind of like the Rock a little bit.
He did have that deep voice, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I got to get
really
him on
did
my
look
show.
great though.
I'm very.
And Carlito, we all know
know
this. Carlito looked great.
His claim to fame is drop kicking the Taker out of the Rumble, but
Hey.
it's more than I've done. So
One tough enough. I think that's a little bigger.
yeah.
Have you been to any indie shows? Not ROH or anything like that, but local wrestling recently, or
Well, it hasn't been
Not
recently.
recently, yeah.
Not really recently. I guess the most recent one I went to the Independent Wrestling Convention in Fort Worth, Texas last September. And I'm doing that again next month. That's the last one I went to though. Like there really hasn't been a lot at all. I haven't been to a wrestling show in hardly at all.
Live wrestling. I mean, it almost sounds crazy to be this excited for just live. Like again, like you said about the time machine. If you would have said 2 years ago that we were this excited to just see wrestling live, it's like, what do you mean? We see it all the time.
It's just something
we
you
go
take
every
for granted.
weekend to a wrestling show.
You take for granted being able to see stuff live.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've been to a lot of wrestling shows or a lot of indie wrestling shows in every city that I've lived in, whether that was Toronto or Vancouver or Cleveland or Miami. I've not only been there as a fan, I've also worked as a ring announcer for a lot of those shows.
Right.
that's cool. Well, you'll get to see some great
Indie wrestling.
wrestling Outbreak later on after Hamburg convention.
I'm going to be part of that show in some sort of small way, so I'm excited.
Oh,
You don't know what you're doing yet.
Well, I guess
Or-
we'll find out.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see that
We'll
night.
see. I don't know why I'm talking like that. I have no idea what I'm doing there.
Well, I think I do, but
Really?
yeah.
Oh, you got the insider. I have no idea what
yeah.
we're talking about.
Okay.
We'll talk after the cameras off.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Outbreak is great though. The guys that run it are great.
I was on the first Outbreak show. I wrestled on the first Outbreak show, and I've been, I think, to almost every one since, or I've at least been a part of every one since. And it, without being biased, it's actually one of my favorite indie wrestling shows out there.
Nice.
Even though it's in my backyard, it's still great.
I mean, the last wrestling show I went to live was we were all sitting 6 feet away from each other, spread out through a hockey rink, wearing masks. So I'm excited to this is what wrestling's all about.
Yeah.
What we're going to be doing next weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next
I've been to
weekend,
lots
that's
of
still
wrestling
crazy.
shows.
Next weekend.
Yeah, it's
That's
next
so weird.
weekend, guys.
That's so crazy. We're so far behind. We have so much to do.
So much whiskey to drink.
I'm such a procrastinator. I wait till the last minute for everything. We've known for months, and I still have so much to do because I haven't done anything.
Is there was there something that got you into wrestling, like a match or a certain wrestler, and who are some of your favorite wrestlers?
So I was aware of wrestling growing up. It's just kind of in the general, just on TV every once in a while. But what really got me into it was the Attitude Era. I think it was 97 or 98. Austin McMahon was the big storyline that really sucked me in. And I had my best friend at the time lived one city over from me. And in the late 90s, as you guys know, you did this crazy thing when you had a friend called talking on the phone. Wild, right?
You can talk into those things?
Oh,
I didn't know that.
wow.
So
So a
I-
landline.
we-
Wow.
We talked on the phone all the time. We're 15 years old. And I knew that every Monday at 9:00, our phone call would abruptly come to an end because he was a huge wrestling fan. And one Monday I kind of said, all right, man, I'll stay on the phone with you. I'll turn on wrestling so we can continue what we're talking about here. And I got sucked into it. And when I become passionate about something, like I go all the way in. I don't check the depth of the water. I don't check the temperature of the water. I just dive right in. We'll figure it out when we get there.
Hey,
and that was me with wrestling. I went from watching no wrestling to watching everything, Raw and Nitro and ECW and Jacked and Metal and Heat and pay-per-views. Like I went all the way in on it. And I was on the amateur wrestling team at the time. And I was kind of conflicted because when you're an amateur wrestler on the high school wrestling team, you're kind of told by your coaches, like, what we do in here is real.
Yeah.
What you see on TV, pro wrestling, that stuff's fake. And I was kind of torn because I'm like, I really like that. It's super entertaining. And I love those over the top personalities, larger than life, superstars. And I kind of like worked the two into each other. Like there were times during high school wrestling practice when I was like giving my buddy like a tornado DDT and my coach would be like, what are you doing? Like, oh, yeah, don't worry, we're fine. So that was what really got me into it. And not long after that, my friends and I started a backyard wrestling company. We had a backyard wrestling federation. I was Chris Sharp. I was a very mean heel. And I fell in love with it. And I wanted to be a pro wrestler. And I went to wrestling school a few years after that. And I trained for a few months. So kind of that time of my life, 97 to I started college in 2001, that kind of time of my life was like very hyper focused on wrestling.
That's a good time to get into it. That's what a lot of people get into.
That's what kept me into it. I think if the Attitude Era hadn't happened, I probably would have fell out of love with wrestling. But because I was just in my informative years where my attention started to be pulled in different directions. So, wrestling was able to capture my attention and keep it for that amount of time.
For me, it was because I'm older than you guys, but for me, it was Hulk Hogan. The Hulkamania era from like 84, 85. Got me.
As a kid, I was drawn to the end of the Hulkamania. But the Attitude Era is what kept me.
Yeah, I'm Attitude Era as well. I mean, TLC matches I love.
You're not.
I was born in 97.
No,
but
you're a baby. You were born in 97.
Yeah. So, but the thing I enjoy watching the most is stuff from the Attitude Era. All the TLC matches, all the ECW stuff, because I wish that I was able to go to ECW and to experience that. So that's...
Well, I was a kid and I went to ECW and I don't remember it because I was too young. So
I went to one ECW show. I think it was the only one they ever did in Canada. It was in Mississauga, Ontario. And then ECW went out of business like 6 months later.
Okay. So it was later. Because I was going to say, I would be surprised to see them run anything but like Toronto or around Toronto, because it would be tough.
So Mississauga is like half an hour from Toronto.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
That arena was like a minor league hockey arena. And it seated, I don't know, 8,000 people.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we have here in Reading. We have a minor league hockey team. So, yeah.
So, I don't really have anything else.
No. This is a great show. I really appreciate you coming on.
This was last minute for us. I figured this would be a good icebreaker before we bring you.
Well, this would be great to see you guys in person. Poured more whiskey. My goodness.
Yeah, it's water. It's water to me.
7 o'clock there. It's only 4 o'clock here.
It's been a long.
You better save some of that for me next weekend.
Do you drink?
I got more.
Do you have a preferred beer? Because it is bring your own beer.
Beer. Look, so I will drink pretty much anything, but I think on beers right now, I'm not going to be, I'm not very picky on the beers, but I think if we were to go to a brewery and we had the option to drink anything, I think wheat beer would probably be my first choice. Maybe a hazy IPA would be my...
Hazy IPA has been my thing for like the last year.
Choice. And then since it's summer, like a really light, crisp lager of some sort.
Oh, well, I mean, Yingling is the thing here. That's not a crisp lager, though. I don't drink it.
I do love Yingling.
That's because you're not from our local drink it. You hate it. I hate it.
Looking forward to having you. We're honored that you're coming.
Man, thank you guys so much for bringing me in. I'm pumped about this.
This whole thing, getting the chance to bring you in as our guest, that was last minute. It was just, hey, this is available. Do you guys want to do this? And it was,
I just can't wait to meet fans. I can't wait to have people that we can talk to about wrestling and watch wrestling and hang out and just have so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, this is what our show is. It's just four friends sitting around talking about wrestling. I mean, there's no, we'll do topics, but there's no really, it's just four wrestling
Like we're
fans
sitting at a
hanging
bar.
out.
Yeah,
That's what we do. That's how it started. We drink and we talk wrestling. So we were like, well, let's make a
How could you
podcast out of
possibly
it.
argue against that?
Thank you for your time out of your busy schedule for being a guest on our podcast here. A week away. That's crazy.
I know.
We will see you in Hamburg.
Well, where can people find you at?
Well, wherever you're listening to this, you can find my podcast, Insight with Chris Van Vliet. And on social media, it's just my name, at Chris Van Vliet, VanVliet. And again, thank you guys for bringing me in. It was an honor and a privilege to share this time with you. I wish I was sharing whiskey with you as well, but we'll do that in person. And I can't wait to see you guys. I will see you next Friday.
Yeah, next
That's
Friday.
yeah.
Wow.
I know there's a lot of fans excited to see you and meet you, and it's
We've had a lot of
insane.
good feedback. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
people
my
are
God,
excited.
I can't wait. I can't.
I mean, honestly, before this, we've heard of you, which kind of sucks because you are a great guy. But we didn't really do much digging for information. For stuff like this, it's kind of more natural just to go with the flow.
Yeah.
But like I said, we knew who you were, and we knew that this is big. For you saying that you've
He's on all the
haven't
posters
done,
around here.
you haven't
There's
done
no
many.
pictures of the wrestlers. It has your name.
Yeah.
It said Legends of Hamburg, and then it has featuring
Special
Chris
guest,
Van Vliet. Yeah.
So you saying you haven't done many conventions, this is big for everybody, wrestling fans, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people coming to try to pick your brain a little bit. So we're looking forward to that.
Just
a
him
week
coming
away.
from coast to coast. I mean,
Yeah. I'm sorry in advance for the jet lag.
That's not, that's gonna.
He's a
that's
traveler. Yeah.
It's actually easier going that way. Gaining the time's easier.
Yeah. Losing it.
Or
really
losing
bad.
the time, I mean.
Yeah. You're losing
Because,
it.
because when I land there, I can just basically go to bed that night. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, man, thank you guys. Thank you for having me on today. And thank you for bringing me in next week. I can't wait to see you guys.
We can't wait to
Thanks
have
for
you.
being a guest, man. Right?
Yeah. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you so much.
This was an honor
This
for
is
us.
awesome.
No, it's been a blast.
So
Very cool.
Legends of Hamburg Fan Fest, Hamburg, PA, July 24th. If you didn't buy tickets,
monsoon, it's going to be a happening.
yeah. If you didn't get tickets yet, what are you doing? They're selling out fast, man.
So, there's literally two VIPs left, 2 tickets left.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was as of Monday. I don't even know.
Yeah. So you're the special guest. You're going to be a big part of Outbreak that night too. So thank you for joining us in all of this, in this whole thing. Great food. There's going to be
Axe throwing.
We're
We're gonna throw some axe. We're gonna drink
An
whiskey,
escape
throw
room.
axes. It's a terrible combination.
Alcohol and axes. Yeah.
Yeah. Food trucks, face painting, activities.
Tons of legends. That's a bunch of
Alcohol
wrestlers.
and axes is a great name for an axe throwing company.
Or a podcast.
or a podcast.
Now, I copyrighted that. Fine, that's fine.
But seriously, we can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. It was an honor. It was fun.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Of course. No, thank you guys. Really appreciate you having me on. And again, I can't wait to see you guys next week.
Yeah,
we'll
we're
see you
looking
next
forward to it,
Friday.
man. Thank you so much.
We
I like
can't
your
wait.
belt behind you, by the way, with your name on it.
Thank you. Yeah,
That's
I will
awesome.
challenge. I will put this on the line against
Oh.
anybody
So since you're a
named
guest on our
Chris Van Vliet.
Since you're a guest on our show, technically you can challenge for our belt. It has to be at least 3 people. We have rules, but we will have beanbag toss, which technically can be defended in beanbag toss.
Cornhole. Yeah.
Cornhole. Really? You call it cornhole? Well, that's right. You spent some time over here, so I thought that was only.
Beanbag toss?
No, we call it cornhole.
I said that because I don't think people know what cornhole is.
Cornhole does sound like a dirty, like
Exactly. Yeah. So when I talk to people that
give her
aren't
the
from
old
Pennsylvania-
cornhole.
Yeah. So when I talk to people from not Pennsylvania, I usually say beanbag toss.
Yeah, you know what that means? Oh, we're gonna have this,
Yeah,
this, and
cornhole.
cornhole.
What are they doing?
Wait, I'm not. I'm coming to watch wrestling. I don't know what kind of show you're going to, but
Yeah, but we'll have beer. We'll have some fun things to do there.
Yeah,
some
we're gonna
great
have
food to eat.
yeah.
if you
I
haven't,
just saw Tornado Tag podcast is going to be podcasting the whole thing. They're going to be talking to everybody. So that's,
that's cool.
fun. I'm
Nice.
getting on that.
Yeah.
Andy
Yeah.
Hedder's show. Hell yeah.
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 Like I said, PA wrestling fans, man, they're special.
I can't wait. This is going to be awesome.
We can't wait to have you next
we're
week.
so excited, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on our show, man.
Of course, we will
Honored.
see you in Hamburg.
Yes. Thank you.